Hello and welcome to the first installment of Freshly Spoiled, as it's being called at the moment. Or we've done no research if that name exists somewhere on YouTube, but we discussed names and that's what we liked. So for now, that's what it's called until we realize that there's a famous podcast called Freshly Spoiled. But in this, we'll be talking about movies that we've watched freshly and spoiling them. So don't watch this podcast or show, whatever this is going to be. I guess it's just be on YouTube. If you haven't seen the movie titled, this will all be in the description of the thing. Yeah, but don't go watching this if you haven't seen the movie yet, unless you want everything spoiled for you. This is a discussion about the movie that we've just seen. This is Monique Zada.
Hi.
I'm Ryan Brook. And we just saw Y2K,
Yeah,
right?
that was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was nostalgic. It was exciting.
It was nostalgic in a couple ways. It was nostalgic in the type of comedy that it was like a throwback to like kind of 90s, maybe 2000, early 2000s comedies maybe.
Yeah.
But it was about the 90s, so it was nostalgic. The content was nostalgic, and the feeling of it was also nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was like 1999. It was Y2K going into the year 2000.
Sure. So just absolutely littered with things to go, oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And music just pumped
Which-
into like every scene.
Yeah.
Good and bad music.
Which, well, to me, it was all bad music, but I literally did not hear one song. No, the Brian McKnight song I liked.
Well, they were in the porter potty.
Yeah, the romantic movie while they're piling downhill, getting shit.
all over
That a little bit disturbed me because of the rest of the movie. They like you could tell they had a little bit of shit on them or like some type of dirt that was. So I was like, can we just do a like they washed up a little bit? I just
Yeah.
wish they maybe spent one more time cleaning up after that. So. And it's also like the continuity aspect of it. The fact that they had to like go into makeup and get like the shit put back
Smeared.
on them every day just so it looks like that seemed like you could have just cleaned them up nice and then not have to worry about that. So yeah, like the premise of it is really like so there was a lot of that, like, hey, remember this, which is like the laziest thing to entertain people with is like literally just show them things from their childhood and get them
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're kind of a mark on the midway, but you're like you don't care. You're just falling for it. You're like
I know. Well, like not too far into it, I looked over to you. I was like, this is embarrassing. Like just being reminded of like
yeah,
the stupid things
bit
that
closer, a
we
little
did
bit closer,
do,
yeah.
And wore or like thought,
yeah,
said out loud. You're like, oh my god.
yeah. It was your childhood reflected back at you and be
Yeah.
like, oh boy, we were the least cool generation. You watch movies.
know.
You
You
watch
watch-
movies about
yeah.
the 70s kids, and it just seemed like they just were so cool. The music was like actually great. You get people listening to Led Zeppelin, and like it's like wow, and they're just I don't know. Everybody seemed cooler in the 70s. They watched these movies, and it was like just the most embarrassing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And just as I was saying, they went to the party and they showed. I kind of didn't pick up on it immediately, but they were showing the groups, and then they were played a song that kind of represented that group.
Yeah.
So they had like the what were the groups that they showed? They showed like
They had like
the Slipknot group,
like the gothy,
the goth ones. Then they
like,
had
alty
like
people.
the
They
party,
had the hip hop,
the hip hop
group.
kids.
the pop.
Yeah.
Just like
So I was just as that was happening, I'm like, oh, I wish they had a section that represented like the underground hip hop kids. And then like immediately after I said that, the one kid in it that was a bigger part of the movie than I was expecting. I was so pleased he was a big part of the movie. Was saying how like I don't listen to that mainstream shit that you guys listen to, that MTV bullshit. I'm like, that was me.
I like music that makes you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. With his bucket hat.
Yeah, I didn't feel represented. I'm like, oh, I'm not like I know everybody in this movie, and I know the archetypes that they're representing, but I'm like, I'm not going to be represented in this movie because I was a little more niche. And then boom,
no, they got
I'm
you.
hit with a guy with a bucket hat, and I did try to rap for a little while, but I thought I knew I was always bad at it, but he thought he was like a good rapper.
Yeah, they represented that. They had like a camcorder
Yeah.
that this girl Slipknot fan, Corn fan,
Yeah.
Biscuit head. Like she would go around and recording, and that was also something. I was like on the very, very, very like it was almost like I went back and got the recorder when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I thought it was a cool piece of technology, and like I remember like late in high school, like just walking around with my friends in the woods and like recording us.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I don't know where that is anymore, but
Wouldn't you love to find it though?
yeah.
I have video tapes like that too. Mine were high 8, which were like little tapes. Where, like I'd have to find a piece of equipment to even play that on, or like an old. What were yours on regular tape?
Yeah.
Because then they have like the DVD ones too that would burn right to the DVD, but that was a little bit later.
Yeah.
It was like mid aughts, as people
Yeah, I
like
mean,
to
this
say.
was like 2000s, a little. Like
Yeah, so I feel like that
2003-ish.
would have been high 8. Like it was a little tape that you put in it.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it was a tape inside of a tape. if that
Yes,
makes
they
sense.
did that for a while too. It was
Yeah.
you'd put a high 8 inside of it. I don't know if it was high 8, but they'd have a little tape that you could record on, and then to watch it, you put that into a VHS size tape, and it would play through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so she was doing that. She was walking around recording everything that they did, and then there was a few a few boys
Yeah.
that she hung out with that started the rapping, like
Yeah, yeah,
dissing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the one kid that was rapping in the first scene, where like they were bullying him, and he was like spitting rhymes on the street to the guy. Like that to me, that guy didn't paint a picture of the rappers that I went to school with a bunch of kids that rapped,
Yeah.
and that the way they represented that kid didn't fit the rappers. Like that wasn't like they called them the wiggers back then.
Yes. Yeah.
That kid was like, because he was hanging out with like the Slipknot girl.
Mhm.
So I'm like, that didn't cross over in my school in the 90s. It was like the
Oh.
hip hop kids. The kid that would rap wouldn't hang out with the Slipknot, the girl wearing the Slipknot shirt. I also didn't realize, like, was like the Slipknot fans and Limp Bizkit, like, was Limp Bizkit respected by the Slipknot? Because
I mean,
Slipknot,
I feel like it was that was kind of weird because I feel like there was like a separation, like,
yeah,
but also a crossover. I feel like there was like a blending, but Slipknot definitely was like a different. It was hard.
it was a
Like it
different
was
genre.
harder than.
And they were like respected. Like
Bizkit.
people thought, like, oh, these are talented musicians,
yeah,
like
for
them or
sure.
not, like they're super talented. And
Yeah.
like years later,
And creative
people would
and,
always be like, yeah, talk about Slipknot, like they didn't become a joke. I never liked them, but
Oh,
people
yeah, I
would
love
always
them.
talk about them in a positive manner. But I like Limp Bizkit, and looking back, I'm like, well, they were not good.
yeah.
But like I think the Slipknot definitely held up a lot better than the band that I actually liked
Yeah.
in that
I
time.
mean, I liked Limp Bizkit too. I was like a weird person. I liked a little, like I liked a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I hung out with like all types of people,
Yeah.
so it was kind of like, I don't know.
Well, that movie definitely, in watching the movie, you definitely realize the broad span of music that you did like. Because, like I said, that Brian McKnight song I liked, but I liked Limp Bizkit, and like, so like that was, it went that wide.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the one thing that the 90s did do, I feel like, is they kind of started to erase those lines of, if you like this, you have to like this, and you can't really, like, we kind of were like, you knew people like, I liked Nirvana and I liked Wu-Tang Clan. It was like, that was kind of okay. Like, you definitely, people, they kind of like identified more as one, but they would be like, oh yeah, but I can understand why, like, you might like Mobb Deep, like the old kids or, yeah.
Yeah, and it was fun to have it open with the AOL, like the loading,
Yeah.
hearing that sound and being
Yeah.
like, oh wow, like you had to wait, you had to log on
Yeah.
and wait to get
Uh-huh.
online,
Yeah.
and sometimes it took forever, like it felt like forever. I don't know.
Yeah, it did. And they have
And
to
like you
change.
could only do one thing at a time, right?
We
Like,
couldn't talk on the phone, and then they started like adding lines. Like you would say, you can get another line in your house
Yeah, right.
to, if you want to be on the phone at the same time you're online.
right. But that
But
was like.
do you remember, like,
real-
you'd have to pick a number to call to try to connect to, and sometimes you get like a weak connection, like it wouldn't connect. Like you would have a list of numbers to contact to connect through. Do you remember that? Like you open up AOL and you would have to be like, all right, which one of these numbers do you want to dial through, or like try to connect to, and then some of them would work and sometimes they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was like, yeah, that was definitely like a huge part of that generation. That's a core memory.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
And then the chat rooms, they opened up with that too.
The
Like
chat rooms.
logging onto AOL, the sound, and then the immediate the chat room sounds and the
Yeah.
names and like the abbreviations
Yeah,
for
yeah.
things,
So we were saying,
for words.
um, do you think that people who didn't go through that, like them watching this, it seems like such a narrow field to direct your movie to? Because
Yeah.
people, like, it was literally our generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were definitely people older than us trying to connect to AOL, but not doing the same things we were doing
But
in
not,
AOL.
yeah.
And then anybody younger than us, like
They're
AOL
like, what
was,
the fuck is that?
yeah, like AOL had a very short lifespan in the life of the internet.
Yeah.
Like AOL was,
It was
a
done.
blimp. Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, it's kind of like I wonder if they get it or do they know about it and it's fun to see. Looking back, be like,
and there were emails, right? Were there AOL emails?
yeah, you get emailed through AOL. Yeah, RC Method was my name.
Aw.
Yeah, RC Method. What was your AOL screen name? You don't remember your AOL screen name?
I don't.
What are you, nuts?
I don't.
I thought that was burned in everyone's.
No, I remember my first email, like my first Hotmail.
Yeah, what was that?
Spider 1313.
Okay. Why?
It was kind of for two reasons. One, my sister had a Spider car, and
But
I
your
thought
sister had a Spider car. No, you didn't have a
no, I
Spider
didn't. I wasn't driving.
Yeah.
But I thought it was the coolest thing. Like I thought she was so cool, and I
Yeah.
thought like her car was. It was like white, and then also Spider from Power Man 5000. The lead singer. And
Yeah, it was nice. So you're super 90s.
I
Yeah.
liked him,
And then it was
I liked-
1313 Mockingbird Lane. Was that from
It was just because the number 13.
No. Because was it the Addams Family or the Munsters? They lived at 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
I mean, I feel like that sounds more like the Munsters.
Yeah.
But let's see. I want to know, because we were talking about AOL, because this was 1999 into the year 2000. When was AOL from? Like,
When was it
still
invented?
going on?
Oh,
Yeah.
when did it, what was its lifespan? Is that what you're looking up?
Yeah, like how would I
Yeah, it's ChatGPT. When was the dominant years of AOL? What was the main years of the AOL popularity?
Wow, with this peak popularity occurring in the late 1990s to early 2000s.
In the late 90s, probably like 96 to 2000. So we were wondering that earlier because I felt like AOL didn't make it to 2000, but
Yeah.
I guess I think there was the option to not use AOL is the thing.
A look back at AOL's 35-year history as an internet pioneer.
Yeah, they were. I mean, that was the only way to get on the internet
Yeah.
for a lot of people was AOL. Like there was other ways to do it, but it was like you had to know a lot about computers to do it. AOL was like anybody could get the disk and it would just like walk you through how to get on it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a show more about the '90s than the movie that we actually watched. But it's hard to avoid. Like this will hopefully be a bad representation of what this show becomes. It's not just us talking about things related that we in the movies, but actually the movie itself.
All right. Well, yeah. So it started with AOL, and then I feel like quickly into it, it turned into this like oh, they were at a party, and then for a New Year's Eve party for the year 2000, and then all of a sudden all the lights turn off. They go upstairs, somebody's dead, and then the machines start taking over, and now they have to figure out.
Explain this to the audience.
Yeah.
In theory, they've already seen this movie, or else hopefully they wouldn't be watching this. So you're telling this to the people.
Some people probably
Huh?
wouldn't have.
Some wouldn't. The people the people like you who are okay watching a spoiler.
Yeah, or people who not necessarily are just okay with watching spoilers, but wouldn't be interested in seeing the movie, but
Right.
you
They want to watch a recap of the
yeah,
movie.
want to kind of get
maybe be
a
interested in
rundown of.
maybe seeing this, like, oh, maybe I'll go watch that movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're as long as they know that we told you that we were gonna spoil it.
Yeah,
So
I mean, yeah.
yeah, so they go to a party and things go badly. So I knew it was. I think in my ideal situation, I would have liked to have seen a more grounded version of this movie where Y2K is real, but a real representation of like the bank's collapse and then what happens from that. Like all the things that we're actually afraid of happening in Y2K and what would have happened if it did happen. This was like a cartoon version of computers finding each
I
other
loved it.
and wires
I
grabbing
loved it. Just
other
collecting
machinery.
any piece
Yeah,
of technology
and
and
becoming
absorbing it into their
yeah.
machine bodies and using the monitors as their heads.
Yeah, some of them were very cute. Like that one computer, his computer was very cute. I was kind of hoping he would have been like continued to the movie, but like be a good computer.
That's
Like
what I thought.
a lot of
was
movies
gonna
like that, like
happen.
they'll find like if there's a monster, like or like a group of monsters, sometimes they'll have one of them that's a good monster and they help them
Mhm.
battle. So I was hoping that computer would have known like, all right, this was yeah, I'm a computer and he used me, but he was actually really nice. And
Yeah.
like he doesn't deserve this, and I'm gonna help, you know, like because he knows everything about
Yeah,
him.
because
And
the way he started talking to it, because there was this one computer that came and it was like his, and he was
yeah,
talking to it like, "Oh,
yeah,
do you remember? Do you remember when I did this?"
yeah. So that would have been nice. And he was like cute, so I was kind of hoping he would
Yeah.
just continue. But they also set up a world where like anybody will die. Like that's a good thing about in a movie where they kill people that seem like they're gonna be there with you throughout the whole movie, and they're like, no, we're killing this person early on because it gives you the idea of like, oh, anybody could die, but really the main two characters you know are not gonna die, but
Yeah.
anybody else is really
What was his friend's name?
Daniel.
Dan. Okay.
Dan, yeah. So yeah, I mean that's always a good thing to do is not let people get comfortable that these people are gonna make it through it. It is always like any one of these movies where there's like a ton of people dying. It's hard to just. I always get caught up in the fact that like, okay, so but these people lived, but I can't help thinking about all the people that just died. It's like just because we're watching these people, we're supposed to be like, hold on a second, and we're back. Minor camera thing. It's funny just how many years, the camera that you were talking about and how bad that looked. To not very far in the future to have one camera that can shoot 4K and it just post it to the internet. You know what I mean? Like the improvements that they made were just so quickly since this movie. What was I saying?
That the characters, like you felt like anybody could die.
Yeah, right. But I would have liked to have seen like a more grounded version of this movie. And I love Kyle Mooney so much. Like the reason I wanted to go, it just typically would not have been a movie I would have been excited to go see. I think just by the trailer, but the fact that Kyle Mooney was involved, I was like, okay, I trust Kyle Mooney. There'll be some jokes that I like in there, and I think overall, I stand by like I might not have like this. I enjoyed my time there, but I wouldn't like rush to see this, even knowing what I know now, if Kyle Mooney wasn't involved. Do you know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of movies that I might like to go see, but I just don't care enough to go see them, and this probably would have fallen in that category. So I was like, yeah, I like this, but
I was excited to see it. Like,
yeah,
and I do like. Obviously, like you told me about Kyle Mooney. You told me about Tim Heidecker being in it.
yeah.
So that kind of excited me too. But I just thought like the whole idea of it. I'm like, yeah, this is.
Yeah, it was fun.
I need to see this represented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the idea of it. Like if it was Kyle Mooney was involved, then it was a project that I had no interest in seeing. But it's everything involved. Like I love just seeing Tim Heidecker on screen. Like I just feel like there he is right there. That's Tim Heidecker. He's in this movie. Look at this. That's crazy. It's like a real movie, and he's in it. But Kyle Mooney was in it enough. Like I was hoping he was going to be in it. A decent amount, and I feel like he was in an appropriate amount.
Yeah. I liked how he died too. Like that was great.
Yeah, and I feel like it would have, in an ideal world, he would have played the main guy, like the main character, but like he was too old for it. It was like the Superbad, like I guess Seth what's his name?
Rogan,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say Rogan. I'm like, no, that's the
That's
guy
Joe
that I don't
Rogan,
like.
right?
That's Joe Rogan. Seth Rogen, right?
Yeah.
Him and his writing partner, I forget his name, but they wrote Superbad. I think when they wanted to star in it, but by the time they got like big enough for the movie to get made, they were too big to play the lead roles. So they were in it as the cops, or he was in it as a cop, but then they got people that had age appropriate thing. So that struck me as like a similar thing. Like Kyle Mooney, like would have been perfect in the lead role,
Yeah.
but he was too old to do it. So he got a role that was like, I think, perfect for him.
Yeah.
And just, I would have liked to have just seen a movie about that character. Would have been, I would, like, but yeah, overall fun. Like, it
Yeah.
was just not, you don't go there for a great storyline or to see like it was ridiculous across the board. The solutions of the problem was ridiculous. They knew that, like, that they were watching this girl code stuff that she would obviously not know how to code. And I love that the end computer had a bit of a sense of humor, like it was some jokes there.
Yeah, I like that it was aware enough that it was talking to humans and calling them a piece of
In
shit
like a human
and
way.
like,
Yeah.
you used me, now I'm gonna use you.
Yeah. So like your plan's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was clever.
And Fred Durst, he was in it.
Fred Durst was in it.
He was in
There's
it.
no
He
denying.
sung.
There's no denying that Fred Durst was in it. I like that he's grown into having a sense of humor about himself.
Yeah.
He knows that.
I felt like everything they said about Limp Bizkit being bad and
Yeah.
all right, nobody cares what you have to say, Fred. Like he
Yeah.
was just like, okay, let's
Yeah,
do
he was
that.
kind of like a punchline.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, he knows that he got a lot more mileage out of what the talent that he has than he should have. So he kind of just enjoys being like, hey man, I lucked out. Like I kind of hit the lottery.
sure.
Like I became
Trending
popular
for a
at the right
while.
time.
Yeah.
And if any other 3-year period, and I would not have hit the way I hit. So I think he's just happy to have that at all. I never watched that movie that he made with John Travolta. Like he made a movie with John Travolta. Did you ever see it? I mean, I never watched it, but it's supposed to be just one of the worst movies ever made. Like John Travolta plays like a special needs guy, and it's
Oh, that
like,
sounds like a weird combination then too.
yeah, you're gonna look it up.
Well,
You can't be the researcher and the co-host of this show at the same time. Do they do this on Kati? What's
Trixie and Katya?
Trixie and Katya? Do they look up things randomly?
No, they have somebody.
So we need somebody.
I know.
We need a researcher. So yeah, overall, I would suggest it if you have any interest in this movie at all. I would suggest it. I would say if you're, a movie snob at all, I wouldn't go see this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not.
If you grew up with the, early with the internet, if you were,
Yeah.
anywhere from like 36 to 45,
Yeah, I think that's probably a good range.
go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely be.
I don't know if I'd call them member berries. I guess they would, right? Isn't that a term people use? Member berries? But usually member berries are like when there's like a remake of something or a sequel years later of something, and they reference the original thing.
Yeah,
this was like real life member berries, which I don't know if is that
I don't know if
classified
that
as the same
yeah,
thing.
I don't know.
That's a real term, right? I feel like I've heard that term. I'm not crazy, right?
I don't know if it's. I feel like it is a term. Something's a term, but I don't know if it's member berries or if it's something berries.
Well, you got the phone.
I know, but I'm already looking something else
So I gotta
up.
look this up now. So tune in to watch us look things up on our phones. All right, what are you looking up then?
I want to know if that was really Westmoreland.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, member berries.
It is.
Member stories with member berries. Oh, but wait, what are these?
Okay. And Alicia Silverstone was in it too, and that was fun to see her.
It was fun to see that.
You know,
It was fun to
a
see
woman.
Tim Heidecker, and her together. Like that's a fun combination. And you look at them together, I'm like, yeah, but yeah.
I could see that.
Like to me, Tim Heidecker has grown into his looks. He was never like, supposed to be like an attractive person. Like when he was his comedy career. But like as he's getting older, that's men are very fortunate that they can age into good looks, and not to say women can. There's plenty of women who still look great at an older age, but I think that's kind of men in Hollywood are allowed to age, and sometimes it can be viewed as more attractive than they were when they were young. I mean, he's lost weight, and he's kind of so. Seeing Tim Heidecker with Alicia Silverstone, I was like, yeah, I buy it. Yeah.
I mean, she looks great.
She does look great.
Yeah.
Apparently, Member Berries comes from South Park. There was an episode of South Park called Member Berries.
Oh, okay.
And maybe it lampooned the massive national media coverage, Colin Kaepernick and other athletes during the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, okay. So maybe I got to watch that episode to know what the term Member Berries truly means.
Okay.
Did we find out if that was West Borland?
No, it's not like saying.
I feel like that
it's saying
not.
like Fred Durst.
Well, did you go to the IMDb page and see if West Borland is in it?
No. I don't know.
This is you're going to be the researcher, and you're not even. First of all, do you even have the app IMDb?
I do, and I refuse to use it. Not that I refuse to use it, but my
You
brain
don't
just
think
doesn't.
to?
Yeah, it just doesn't.
All right, so let's look at the cast. I guess I could look up.
What was the name of it? Y2K,
West.
right? That was the movie we just
Y2K, yeah. Yes, the movie we're talking about. I don't think there's. I search for Wes and it doesn't come up. WES, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in the
He's not in
IMDb.
it. Yeah,
They would have made him more of a. They would have given him maybe a speaking role. They would have made more of a.
he was like
thing.
painted
He probably
up, like,
doesn't have the
really,
same
like,
sense of humor about it that Fred Durst does. So
yeah, they didn't give him any speaking role.
No.
It was just a brief.
yeah,
like,
West Borland would have got. I mean, at least said something. Maybe an under 5, as they call it in the business, right?
under 5 seconds.
Under 5 lines.
Oh.
That's a different pay scale. Like once you have over, like there's different pay scales.
Oh,
Like
sure.
you use an extra, then you have just an extra line. If you have under 5, it's a different pay scale. Then you have, yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
I think if you watch this page, if you continue to watch this video, you'll see that I'm like we definitely have difference of opinions, which will make this fun to have conversations.
So,
yeah. We're not going to just be agreeing on everything. Like, I'm a bit of a yes. Yeah. I like, like good
you
stuff.
like good movies.
I like good stuff.
No, and I will admit, I really like bad movies, like corny, cheesy, bad quality.
Yeah,
I just like
which
a
is
good
fun.
time.
And I think that's great because I see value in that. I don't really like to criticize people who like that kind of because I get it. I get liking those movies. I don't have the time to sit and waste. If I'm going to sit and watch a movie, I want it to be like inspirational. Like I want to be inspired. Not the message of the movie to be inspired, but the creation of it. The fact that somebody wrote something so beautiful to be like I find inspiring, and so I want to be moved. Yeah, even if not by the storyline, but the feat of making a beautiful piece of art.
I get that too.
Yeah. But here we are. Our first movie is Y2K, which is like the most ridiculous reason to start this. But if you continue to watch this, if you're still watching this, thank you so much. But we the last couple of years, I watched all the Oscar movies that were nominated in every category, even best costume design. And it's a lot of fun, and I really started doing it because I don't watch a lot of movies, and I love movies, and I just feel like I don't have the attention I don't dedicate the time to sit down and watch them because I like to really sit and watch it, and not just be on my phone.
Passively.
And yeah, so it's more of it's intimidating to start one. But I feel like assigning myself, I'm good at setting goals and then achieving them. So I set myself the goal, okay, we'll watch these movies. So then the first couple months of the year is me running around trying to get all these movies in, and then I'm dedicated to watching these movies, and there's some duds in there, but overall you get a lot of good movies in there. So I planned on doing it again this year, and we were saying we were going to do that again. Last year, Monique and I watched a lot of the Oscar movies together, so
Yeah, that was fun.
I wanted to do something with that, having seen all the movies. So I thought maybe fun to not funny, but fun to discuss the movies after we've seen them and watch them and then come talk about them freshly,
Yes.
spoiled.
Freshly spoiled.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's more that I would like to say about this movie, but I don't want to make this go too long. So, are we gonna have a review system?
Like number scale, you mean?
A number scale, or just like a general like, go see it, don't go see it? I mean, is that a little too broad?
Yeah, I mean, I would put like a laughing face and like a 4.
A laughing face and a 4.
Yeah, because it was funny. I thought it was funny.
Okay.
It made me happy to watch it and like
Okay.
think about it. And like it wasn't great. It wasn't like
Right. It's not a great movie. It's a fun movie. It's,
it was
and
just like a good way to spend an hour and a half. And like I said, I think just living through that made it something that I enjoyed.
yeah.
I could see coming from it, from either other end cap of life,
Yeah.
being like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah. Well, I hate the idea of rating a movie because I always consider or think should you be considering what the goal of this movie was when you're rating a movie? Like, if you're rating this movie of like, is it a great movie? No. Out of 10, this is a 3. Like if you're saying like, is this a great movie? Is this comparing it to whatever. Yeah, you always think like Godfather is the first thing that everybody goes to, but The Godfather, or doesn't matter.
Shawshank.
Yeah, no, Shawshank is overrated. It's a good movie. It's a good movie, but I just think I think it's wildly overrated. But
Yeah.
so like, do you compare this if you're putting this up against those movies, the truly great pieces of work? This is a 2 or 3. This is not a. This is.
Yeah.
It's garbage when you think about it. It's just, but that wasn't their goal. So
No,
are we
it's
judging
silly.
it? Are we judging it based on their goal or based on because like that's I don't know because me I feel like yes this stuff has value in it, but I would never want to create something like this. I would want to create something shoot for something truly great. So
Well,
I don't
I'd
know.
say I don't think they were trying to make. He was trying to make something.
Yeah, they
like-
weren't. But
yeah.
I'm saying, do you
So-
rate on that?
Yeah, I guess so. Because
I
you
don't know
can't
if I
hold, you
agree with
can't
that.
hold this up to the same standard as something
yeah,
else.
I guess so, but
Like,
it just kills me to be like, yeah, this was a 7 out of 10. Like, okay, because so you're putting this next to the conversation, which is
but
a
you're not though.
9 out of 10.
Like what you were saying before about like having a separate awards thing for movies
Right.
that aren't in the
Yeah.
Oscars. Like this would be a separate rating system for movies
Best
that
comedy.
like aren't
It was like, yeah,
you know.
but I wouldn't
trying
even
to
put this in the best
be-
comedy because like
How about
a
time-
great comedy is.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't even be a good timepiece either. But
But like I laughed a
It
whole
was
bunch.
just
I laughed. I had
fun.
like a lot of like big laughs in this movie. And a lot of times it was just a reference
Yeah.
that was like
you know
you're
what?
laughing at.
I think it was a good timepiece movie. And regardless of what you think of the era, because a lot of people, even like being part of that, it's important to me because it was part of my childhood. But I can look back on it and be like, oh, like I said, like I kind of was just like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like it
Yeah.
is cringy. That era was cringy,
Yeah.
and like, but it was good, and it was represented in the movie, and yeah.
I think I
didn't
started
take
to say, I don't know
itself
if I
too
finished to
seriously.
say or if it's even important to finish to say, but when they pointed out that underground hip hop guy, I was so embarrassed because I'm like, he said things that were meant to be so douchey. And I was like, I know I've said that exact sentence before. And so I felt happy to be made
Yeah.
fun of in the movie.
I would say so. Out of 5, I would say 4 for what it was going
4
for.
to 5.
4 out of 5. Laugh
Okay.
face.
Laugh face. All right. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10 for real movies. But also go see it. It's a great
Go
time.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I would say for what they were trying to accomplish, I mean, 4 to 5 does actually still seem like a lot to me. Like, I think like a movie like this that it's perfect to me. I haven't seen it in years, but I feel like not another teen movie. Is it not another teen movie? I remember that movie being like so like really truly funny, like great true laughs in it,
Mm.
like great moments.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of those great moments in this movie. Like I think my favorite parts were when Colin Mooney were on, on film,
Yeah.
film on screen.
Yeah.
He like that's the kind of humor that I was enjoying in it. The big laughs were like the remembered things, and then like the ridiculous. I didn't expect like the violent, like the opening scene, like the opening murder scene. Like it
Yeah.
was really some violence in there,
Yeah.
and like I had some like laughing fits during
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying
You
talking
just don't want
myself
to be
into
held accountable for
exactly.
saying that this movie was good in
So
any
true.
way.
So true. I just need to own the fact that I enjoyed the movie. Like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, which is a phrase we should stop using,
I
right?
know.
You know,
I don't like
yeah.
that
Let's come
either.
up with.
Yeah.
There was a list a while back where like PETA put out a list
Yes.
of like they
Other
options
alternatives for
sayings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need to look that up and come up with a better term for what I just used.
I love
Yeah.
that.
All right. Well, thank you for watching as much as if you've seen this, if you're hearing us say thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And we'll see you again shortly for Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
Was our next movie that we're planning to see. Bye.
Bye.